Hey, welcome to Trucks. We've got a great show for you today because we're talking diesels. This 2002 Chevy Duramax to be exact. As you can see, this truck's already been modified a good bit, but nobody's touched the engine. That's what we're gonna do. In the past, you've seen us do various projects on diesels and get some pretty serious numbers. So the question I keep getting asked is just how much torque and horsepower can you get out of one of these and still keep it reliable and not blow the engine up? Well, good question. Today we're going to show you the answer. But first, we need to make a baseline dyno run on this thing. So we went over to the Horsepower TV shop to see our friend Joe Elmore. All right, ready? Here we go.
There you are, Stacey. 194 horsepower, about 392 foot-pounds of torque.
That's not too bad. I'll tell you what, though. What is the best horsepower number you've ever pulled on this dyno?
426.
Okay. What would you say if I said, I bet I can beat that number with this new Chevy?
What are you going to do?
No, I can't tell you that. $5 says I can beat the horsepower number, 426.
I'd say let's bet.
Okay.
All right, $5?
Yes.
Bring it back when you're done and bring your wallet.
Oh, bring your wallet too
Yes.
now.
He ain't going to do that, nah.
Okay, with our baseline set and old Elmore getting a little nervous, it's time to show you the first upgrade we're going to do to this truck, and that is propane injection that we got from Bully Dog Technologies. Now the kit includes a propane tank, all the hoses and hardware, and the regulator, everything you're going to need to just bolt this in and go. Now I know the first question you're asking, propane, what does that do? Well, it gives you a better air-fuel mixture that burns quicker and more thoroughly. That'll give you a 30% increase in power, but it also lowers your exhaust temperatures and gives you better fuel mileage. But the best part is, this won't harm your engine if you use it correctly. Now the first thing you need to decide is where you're going to mount your regulator. You really want to keep it within 20 inches of the air intake. Now on the Duramax, right here on the driver's side, using the bolts for the air conditioning compressor is the perfect place. So Bully Dog also includes a bracket. Now you're ready for the nozzle that injects the propane into the air intake. Drill and tap the hole on this nice flat area on top of the air intake. Then take your nozzle and just thread it in. And this thing is ready to go back on the engine. Just make sure you don't have any shavings down inside before you put it on. Finally, trim the hose and connect the regulator to the nozzle. One thing that you don't want with propane injection is for liquid propane to be injected into the engine. Boom, damage. So this kit uses hot water from the heater, runs it through the regulator, and that makes sure that the propane is all well vaporized before it's injected. Now to hook this up, disconnect the outer heater hose and then slide on the new hose that comes with the kit. This will go to the regulator. With the hose connected, the hot water runs down through the regulator, making a loop, and then runs back through this hose to the heater hose. Next, we'll hook up the air pressure switch. Now to do that, you splice into this hose that goes to the wastegate actuator. Then we'll plug in another hose and run over here to the air pressure switches. All right, now we are ready to get out from under the hood, come in the cab here, and mount our toggle switch. Now where you put this is entirely up to you. You can put it on the dash, down here underneath, all the way at the bottom, just somewhere where you can get easy access to it. Now our situation is a little different. You can see we've got a whole bank of toggle switches because this truck's got a bunch of accessories on it, but half of these aren't even being used yet. So that's what we're going to use to turn our propane on. Now hookup, very simple. It's 3 wires. It doesn't get much easier than that. Okay, the tank. Where are you going to mount the tank? You got 3 choices. You can put it in the bed, but that's going to take up some of your cargo space and you have to drill down through the floor to run your lines. Or you can mount the tank here outside the frame, but that's my least favorite. It makes it look like an RV. Or the best place, if you have room, is inside the frame rail, and that's where we're going to put ours. But first, we need to get this thing on the lift. To mount the tank, Bully Dog offers these universal brackets that can be adapted to almost any situation. Now notice I've drilled into this floor support and bolted them up there. That should be plenty strong. Now, once you have these in, you're ready to mount your tank. Now I shouldn't have to say this, but I will. Don't fill the tank before you install it. It's already heavy and awkward enough as it is. Once everything's installed, go ahead and hook up your hoses. Now, make sure that you wire tie these up out of the way so they're not by anything hot or any moving parts or anything sharp. Now, you're probably wondering how we're going to fill that propane tank now that we've buried it under the truck. Well, Bully Dog also offers this remote filler neck that bolts right to the bumper and hides under the license plate. To help maximize the power that we're going to squeeze out of this truck, we're going to pull off this old stock 3.5-inch exhaust system to make room for something that'll breathe a little better. Now remember, if your truck came with a catalytic converter, well, you got to put it back on. Now, the new system that we're going to use is Bully Dog's 4-inch rapid flow exhaust system. Now this thing consists of a whole bunch of preformed, pre-bent pipes made out of 4-inch 304 stainless steel. And the kit that you get, all these pipes will be polished. You also get a big flow-through muffler, and bringing up the tail end is a huge 5-inch polished tip. Now another cool thing about this kit is you get these stainless steel brackets that allows you to mount the system right in the stock location, and for clamps, you get these stainless steel bands that go around the joints, and these prevent any leaks or distortion that you get when you use these kind of clamps. Installing this kit is pretty much as simple as just sliding on the pipes in the proper order. We'll finish that up during the break. But when we come back, and we got a secret weapon we're going to put on this thing, something you've never seen go on a diesel, well, you're just going to have to come back.
Just can't get enough of trucks? Check us out online at truckstv.com.
Welcome back to Trucks. We are right in the middle of showing you how to hit some serious power out of a diesel. In this case, a new Chevy Duramax. Now, we've already put on propane injection. That's going to give us about a 30% increase in power. But what about that secret weapon? The one that we're going to have to win that bet with Joe Elmore. Well, for that, we went back to Bully Dog and got one of their nitrous systems. I know what you're thinking. Nitrous? What? On a diesel? How the heck is that going to work? We're going to answer those questions, but first, let's go take a look at the kit. Bully Dog offers 4 different levels of nitrous kits, and those include all the hardware, nozzles, braided stainless steel lines, relays, wiring, solenoids, and of course the tank. But we're going to add more to that. We're also going to put on a bottle warmer and a purge kit. So, what level are we going to use? Well, level 4. What do you think? Also, we added this remote bottle opener because that is just really cool. Now, your questions. Remember, nitrous oxide is an oxygenator, which means it adds more oxygen atoms than regular air. Now, we've already got more fuel coming in with the propane injection. Now we got this oxygen coming in. They blend together to make the perfect speedball of supplemental fuel, and that's ignited right at the magic moment. Now the good news is, you can't lean burn a diesel and melt everything down like you can a gasoline engine on nitrous. Also, diesel engines are designed for a lot higher compression ratios, so they're a natural for nitrous. However, that doesn't mean you can't blow the heads off of a diesel engine with nitrous, but not with these kits. Bully Dog designs these to be all within safety parameters, because the idea here is to build tons of power, not to blow your engine up. We're going to mount our bottle in the bed on the passenger side, out of the way. Then we'll run our hose down through the stake pocket, under the truck, and up into the engine compartment. Under the hood, we've already drilled and tapped our intercooler pipe, so all we have to do is thread in our nitrous nozzle. We'll follow that with the solenoids. Now ideally, these need to be mounted fairly close to that nitrous nozzle. So right here on the firewall is going to be perfect. Now all we have to do is run our wires, hook up our hoses, and we are ready to go inside the cab. The last thing we're going to do for our nitrous install is put on some switches. Now just like the propane kit, we're going to use one of these switches to turn on our nitrous. That way everything will be nicely mounted in one spot. Now we've also got this little guy. This is a throttle position switch, and it goes somewhere down here on this accelerator pedal, so when it's fully pressed, it clicks that switch on. Now this is a little different for each application, so you're going to have to do a little bit of fabrication here. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. After the break, we're going to deal with the computer, and then we're going to pay Joe Elmore a visit. Welcome back to Trucks, our Bully Dog diesel upgrade, where the point here is to get just as much power as we can out of a diesel engine. Now, we've already talked you through the installation of propane injection and nitrous. Then, while you were away, we brought the computer up to the level of what we're doing. Here's what we did. This little gem from Bully Dog is called the Dyno Dominator, and it controls everything from injector timing and pulse to transmission fail-safes. You can also get these in 3 different power levels. The first gives you a 40 or 70 horsepower increase with the twist of a knob. The second will give you a 70 or 110 horsepower increase. And the third, and that gives you 110 or a 220 horsepower increase. And of course, that's the one we put on. The last thing we did was put on some gauges so we know what's going on with that engine. Now at Bully Dog, you've got a couple different choices. You can put on traditional gauges and pod like this, or something brand new that they've just come out with is called the Watchdog. Now this has 3 functions: exhaust temperature, transmission temperature, and turbo boost. And this thing will warn you if any of those get too high. Of course, it's got the pod, mounts there on the A-pillar. Now, we've got our propane tank full. We've checked for leaks. It's time to go kick some horsepower hiney.
Okay, you brought your truck back. Did you bring your $5?
I got my money. Get on the machine. Joe doesn't realize that the first run we're going to make is with propane only.
423 horsepower. That's a huge jump over 194, but not quite enough.
Oh, no, just a minute, just a minute. How about we make one more run, double or nothing?
Double or nothing, $10?
$10.
Easy money, come on.
Now that we got Joe where we want him, we're going to add the nitrous to the mix. Bye-bye, Joe. Okay, what's the numbers? Come on.
I don't believe it. 455 horsepower. I know this thing's working right. What'd you do that truck?
Oh, no. You need to watch Trucks, man, and you owe me $10.
Okay.
Now, I know you guys are going crazy because we just put on over 260 horsepower and over 480 foot-pounds of torque, and it's something you can do in your driveway. Now, I need to warn you, though. You can't add this kind of power and not expect to blow up that stock transmission. So you're going to need to upgrade it like this truck's already had done before you put that kind of power on it. Now, for more information on that or on any of these accessories you may have seen on this truck, check out Bully Dog's website. For more on trucks, well, we'll be back after this. Hey, where'd you go, man?
Well,
Man, I felt like I was going to pull the wall out. That was awesome.
what'd you feel?
Oh, it was awesome, man. We need to take it on the road. When it comes to engines, well, they pretty much all have pistons, whether they're gasoline or diesel. But a big difference is, in a diesel engine, you're going to find small ones with pistons like this, or great big ones with huge pistons like this. This is out of a submarine. So what is the deal with the diesel engine? How come they're so big or so small? How do they develop such power? What's the deal with diesel fuel? Well, good questions. So today we're going to take you inside of a diesel engine and show you how it works.
How it works. Brought to you by Wyotech.
All right, Dan, what we've got here is a cutaway of a smaller version of the engine that's in that Dodge. And it falls somewhere between that big piston and that little piston I just showed everybody. Take the viewers through a diesel engine. What makes it different? Like the fact that it has no spark plugs. What's going on here?
Really, there's not a whole lot of difference between the gas and the diesel if you really look at it. We've got a block, we've got a crankshaft sitting down here, we've got the pistons and the rings, and we've got the valves up here and the rocker arms, our push tubes back here, and our camshaft that's running this whole thing up here.
So I guess the difference is really in the combustion here. What's going on?
Exactly. The combustion chamber, and also we're running about 18-to-1 compression ratio here.
Wow.
When we move that piston up, you can see how close it gets to that head.
Wow.
Awful close. So all we have is a little dome in that piston that we are going to spray in between 5,000 and 25,000 PSI of diesel fuel in on top of that piston.
Of course, when you compress air, it makes heat. So that's where you get your spark for your combustion.
Exactly right. We don't have to have a spark because we've already created the heat and on top of that piston, and then when we inject it in with that kind of pressure, boom, she's gonna light up.
Okay. Now, diesels are legendary for having that rattling sound. What causes that?
The same thing we just talked about. We're talking about between 5,000 and 25,000 PSI going in on top of that piston. Something's going to make some noise. Not only that, but our timing over here on our injection pump also has a lot to do with what kind of noise we're making out of there.
Okay, now diesels are legendary for their power. How do they build such power?
Same thing, I think, with as much pressures we're putting in on top of those pistons, number one, and the compression ratio. But also, just like this little 4-cylinder, we can jump up to 6-cylinder like we put in that Dodge pickup right there, add more power. We also can make these things put out more than the factory. We can add some things to this nozzle, change the pump and the timing a little bit, and put out more ponies out of
So
this
basically,
thing.
if they want more, they just build it bigger.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that should give you an idea of what's going on inside of a diesel engine, but there's a lot more than that. And we're going to show it to you as we continue to show you how it works. All right, what's the biggest diesel you've ever seen?
I don't know, probably in the mines, man. You know, look like big, huge trucks, you know, they're going up there, little teeny pickups.
Pistons the size of that truck.
Exactly. Get in there and wash them with a brush, you know.
Oh, man. Today's first truck gear has absolutely nothing to do with something you'd put on your truck. It has everything to do with why it is so much fun to be a truck enthusiast. I bet every single one of you out there have noticed the incredible popularity of die-cast replicas. But it's not just race cars and street cars. Johnny Lightning also has a whole line of trucks. Look at this. World War II trucks, four-wheel drives, classics, street machines. You can even get Monopoly trucks. And look at this, a Partridge Family bus that you can put together yourself. The truth is, if you haven't seen this stuff, well, you're really missing out. But the good news is, you can find Johnny Lightning stuff at almost any toy store across the nation. Man, a 59 El Camino. Back in the world of real trucks, one thing is for sure. People love shiny metal. Whether it's aluminum or stainless steel or chrome, it's also a pain in the butt to keep it shiny. And that is where Max Polishing Systems comes in. They have a complete line of compounds and polishes, different shapes and sizes of buffs, all the way down to tiny die grinders to get into tight little spots. So if you want to keep things shining, and don't want to sacrifice your day or your fingertips to do it, give Max Polishing Systems a call. Well, that's going to do it for today. I'd like to say a special thank you to Joe Elmore for contributing his $10 to my growing die-cast collection. Don't worry about it. I'll give him the Partridge Family bus. We'll see you later.